Welcome to This Week in Morgan County. I'm your host, Russell Mokhiber. Our guest this week, the great Jim McCoy, owner of the Troubadour Restaurant and Lounge, based right here in Morgan County, West Virginia. Named, by the way, by Danish TV, the last great honky-tonk in America. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Russell.
Good having you. Jim, you were born right here in Morgan County.
Right.
Right there at where the Troubadour is.
That was my home place.
And what was your parents' work? What did they do?
They were farmers, and then my dad finally got a job with the state road.
But you worked on the farm.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Cut corn with no strings to tie it. Have you ever heard that story?
No. How do you cut corn with no strings
You
to tie it?
take the stalks and fold them up and wrap them, and that's your string.
What else? You also were cutting timber, right?
Yeah, that was the job.
And it wasn't a chainsaw.
Cross-cut saw.
Cross-cut saw.
And an axe. And I worked for Guy Spriggs, was sheriff at the time in this town. And
You were cutting timber for Mr. Spriggs?
Yeah, he had a sawmill, and it was too much for me. I decided, I heard Ernest Tubb sing, and I thought, well, I'm gonna get in the music business.
You heard Ernest Tubb, and Ernest Tubb was your hero.
Yeah, right.
Tell us the story when he was playing in Hagerstown, because as a young man, you went to see Ernest Tubb, and you didn't have a car either.
Right. Well, a boy by the name of Kenneth Swim took me over, and he had to leave. It was at Connickajig Park there at Williamsport, where the racetrack is today. And Tubb was there, and I had been listening to him on the radio. We became friends, believe it or not, that day, and until the day he died. And in 1985, they invited me to sing on the opera for a tribute to him.
In the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville.
Right. And we did that, and Tubb was a real close friend of mine. See, when I lived in Winchester, I ran the Apple Blossom Country Music Association, and we always had a country band. And I booked Tubb there 3 or 4 times.
He was known as the Texas Troubadour, and he sang a song called Waltz Across Texas.
Right.
And that's why you named your business, the Troubadour, after him.
Yeah, my wife Bertha really named it. We were sitting talking about calling it a saloon, Berkeley Springs or whatnot, or Highland Ridge. And she got the dictionary out and said, Troubadour doesn't mean writing songs and traveling. And she said, the Texas Troubadour, Ernest Tubb, your buddy. So we just named it the Troubadour.
When did you start playing music?
I was 14 years old.
And how did that happen? Did you have a guitar in the house?
Well, Pete Kelly was a guy that was a stonemason in this town, and he played the sweetest guitar I ever heard. And I said, I'm going to learn to play that. And he'd lived right close by, and he'd walk over, and I couldn't even tune the guitar or know a chord, and he'd say, I'm going to give you 3 chords and you can play a song. And so when I come back over next week, you better know them. So I made sure I knowed them.
I was reading this book by John Douglas. It's called Joltin' Jim McCoy's Life in Country Music. Sort of a biography of you. And it was the first song you ever played, You Are My Sunshine? Is that the song you learned?
Yeah. No, Gene Autry had that many years ago.
And you went to Winchester to be a radio disc jockey. When did you do that? Why did you do that, and how did that happen? WINC in Winchester.
Yeah, well, it happened real simple. I went to Baltimore with a friend of mine, got a job at Bethlehem Steel from cutting timber, and they won the guy at Montgomery Ward in Winchester, of all things, and I went to Winchester back, I guess that was in the 50s.
And you had your own radio show.
Yeah, well.
What was it called? And how did you get it?
Well, Kenny Huffman was my brother-in-law, and him and I started playing, and it was just the two of us at that time. Then we put a little band together called the Melody Playboys, and we had a steel, no drums, no bass. Had to use an electric guitar, but we had a half-hour show on WINC, and it was every Saturday. Now what happened, Patsy Cline came in.
How old was she?
14.
The great Patsy Cline, living in Winchester. Nobody ever heard her sing before on the radio. She'd never been on the radio.
Right. And she lived not too far away from the radio station. And we were there, and we were using one microphone. And a guy by the name of Paul Miller from Martinsburg sang like Gene Autry. I always liked him, but we had no tapes or nothing. We'd have to crawl in under each other and set up to get a half hour. Well, Patsy come in, and that's what I was doing. And she talked to the boy playing steel, and he said, well, you have to talk to Jim. I didn't talk to her that day, but the next Saturday she was there.
She was there again.
And she said, I want to sing. I don't want no money. I just want to sing. We hadn't rehearsed. I said, well, we need to rehearse. Then she said, well, I know Bill Bailey, a couple other songs, and we knew them, so come on, sing. Well, I knew right
so
then.
So you turned the switch, and that was the first time she was on the radio.
And I'll tell you what, I'll never forget it. I knew she was going to be a big one. She was a great singer at 14. And I don't know that people don't know it, she played a little piano too.
And that led to a lifelong friendship with Patsy and her husband, Charlie Dick.
Yeah, and I would like to speak something about Charlie Dick.
Who passed away just recently, this past year.
I talked to him on November 7th. He calls me about twice a week. And on Sunday morning, November the 8th, the daughter called me and said he was dead. And I couldn't believe it. And when the races started this week, been a sad day for me because he always kept up on the races. And I.
Do we mean the horse races?
Car races.
Car races.
NASCAR.
Okay, NASCAR.
And I think he was watching down yesterday.
That's when NASCAR started, Daytona, right? So Patsy, what year was that? The first time Patsy was on the radio with you on your show?
That was in 47.
And tell us about her trajectory. Soon thereafter, she became a hit, sort of a country music star, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't take more than a couple years. How did that happen?
Well, I think she went on to, she signed a contract, which was bad, for 4 years with this outfit, and they wouldn't let her do any other song but what songs they had.
So this was an outfit out in California somewhere.
Nashville.
In Nashville, and you didn't like that deal that she cut?
No.
Because you felt that they weren't treating her right?
Well, they weren't treating her right, and they were making her do songs that wasn't a hit. and she had to ride that out. And that took her 4 years, but after she went with Decca.
She signs with the big record company Decca, D-E-C-C-A.
And what happened, the guy took her, and well, her music is still good today, you know. It's not like a lot like country music. It was built better today. What I'm trying to say, the sound was made then. And you know,
It was her voice.
And Crazy is still the #1 played record in the world.
You don't like today's country music.
No,
Why not?
it's not country music.
What is it?
Junk.
It's junk music?
Junk music.
Patsy was a star for how many years? I mean, she died tragically in a plane crash. What year was that?
Well, she died in '63, and I guess only 2 or 3 years is all the time she had.
So the year she debuted on your radio show was what year again?
48,
48.
47.
48, and she became a star in the 50s, in the mid-50s.
Well, small star.
Yeah, but big star in the late 50s, early 60s.
Early, well, 58, 57,
Okay.
in that date.
And tell us about the news when she died and what happened.
Well, I got to tell you this little story about her. Charlie was in the service, and she was in Nashville. This was in '58, and what would happen? She'd call me at the radio station and said, "Let's get a couple jobs," so she'd have money to come home on. And we were booking back then the outdoor theaters and small schools, and we'd get $150 for. She'd get 75. And of course, we would do 2 nights. I had a band, 5-piece, got $15 a piece, and she always appreciated that.
And you would actually do those shows in West Virginia, this area
And
around here?
Maryland. Played the Hancock Theater with her.
So you were traveling with Patsy Cline a little bit.
Yeah, for a while, in the real early days.
And even right until now, every year you hold a Patsy Cline retrospective at the Troubadour.
Yeah, I started in 1964 when I was in Winchester with WHPL 1 year after her death. And this will be my 53rd year that I did it. I did it in Winchester, started, and then I did it every year here. And it's coming up March 6th.
March 6th is the anniversary of her death?
March 5th is
March
the
5th.
anniversary, but we're doing it on Sunday, March 6th. And that'll be 53 years that I paid tribute. Now we do 2. One at Labor Day. This one is remembering Patsy Cline, and then one at Labor Day is celebrating Patsy Cline.
All right, so that's for purposes of people in the area. March 6th is a Remembering Patsy Cline event at the Troubadour. What time is that?
It's Sunday at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, okay.
And a lot of different artists come in and sing and play. And there's no fee for that day.
And you are a musician. You are a songwriter and a musician. You played with, it was Jim McCoy and the Melody Playboys. Was that the name of the band?
Yeah, and then I had another band, the Nightlifers.
The Nightlifers? Okay. And where did you guys play?
All of the clubs, Brunswick, Maryland, and the Moose Clubs, Eagles Club, Hagerstown, Pennsylvania,
You're a songwriter.
half of one.
What do you mean half of one? There was an album that was produced of your songs.
Yeah, Matt Hahn.
Matt Hahn did it. There's a picture of you and Matt Hahn in this book here.
Yeah, Matt did a couple of songs that I wrote that I really liked. Always, a song called Always.
Always is one song you wrote.
And Divorce Me Like a Woman, Leave Me Like a Man.
That's one of my favorites.
Matt, he liked that one too.
And what about If the Truth Is Gonna Hurt, Just Lie to Me? Was that yours?
Yeah.
I've used that in my marriage.
You do?
Okay, so so tell us, Jimmy, when she died, when Patsy Cline died on March 5th, 63, tell us how you heard about it. Do you remember where you were and how you heard?
Well, I was working at the radio station, and I was a morning man, and the guy on the night shift called me and said, I think you better come out here. Planes down with Patsy Cline, Cowboy Copas, Hawkshaw, and Randy Hughes. So I went out, and I stayed all night.
Where was it? Where did the plane go down? Where did the plane go down?
It was out of, they were almost to Nashville. I can't remember.
So it crashed around Nashville, in the Nashville area.
Well, it was a little distance away. I can't remember the town right
And
now.
you went to Tennessee?
No. What happened, Grant Turner was the big speaker at Nashville, WSM, and he said I called him, and he said he'd call me right away when he found out the whole story. Well, he called about 6 o'clock, and I had to call the mother and tell her, and sad day. And when Patsy died, then I was pallbearer at the funeral. I don't know whether you ever knew that.
I read that in this book, yeah.
And well, it was just one of them things. And Charlie Dick and I have been friends for 60 years. And I got a Patsy Cline wall, so we're putting up a Charlie Dick wall in Troubadour.
At the Troubadour.
And Charlie was a great guy. And, well, him and I have stayed friends for all them years. And especially after Patsy died. I'll never forget, he'd call me in the middle of the night and play me a song. And he sent this song, said, I want you to hear it. And when here I am on my knees for the first time, praying is something I've never done. Lord, I need a friend. I need help from someone.
Have you've been to Nashville often?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever think of moving there?
No, that wasn't my desire. I've seen too much problems.
Too many problems in Nashville. You came really close to breaking in to the big time.
Yeah, with a song called Which Away, What Away, Anyway.
Which Away, What Away. And so have you thought of that? What made the difference? Why you never took it to the next step? Why it never happened that way?
Well, let me tell you a little story why I never made another step. Charlie Dick and a guy by the name of George Riddle that fronted the George Jones band, and they asked me to ride with them. I was in Nashville, and they said, all the doctor's going to ask you is $3, and do you have any heart problem? I didn't know what I was doing. Buying dope. Benny's.
So there were a lot of problems down in the country scene, and you didn't want anything to do
And
with it.
I seen that happening. I said, no, I'll go back to Winchester.
You were inducted into the West Virginia Country Music Hall of Fame
Yeah.
a couple years ago. Tell us about that.
Well, I think the greatest one is the Spirit Award in Charleston in 2009. I was the first guy put in what they call a Spirit Award, and that was a great time for me. And the other one was when the National Country Music Association in Illinois, 2007, put me into their Hall of Fame. I've had a good life.
But it's interesting the push-pull on it, because you were involved with all these national figures in country music. Ernest Tubb, Patsy Cline, Charlie Dick. But you always wanted to come home to Morgan County. And you never had the desire or the drive to go and make it big on the big stage.
No.
What do you think it was? Why was that?
Well, I could see these guys. I had a close friend, and he died of overdosing, even back then. And I couldn't see that. I said, I don't want to go that route.
And you're still having many events at the Troubadour where people come and play music.
Oh yeah.
Have you any big stars come to play at the Troubadour?
Oh yeah. I've had. Well, Jones played one time.
George Jones.
And George Riddle was his front man, and Dottie West has been there, and can't think of all of them right now.
But people, there's great food at the Troubadour. Eddie, who's here, makes spectacular, maybe the best steak in West Virginia. So there's a great restaurant, there's great music, there's a concert stage outside where you have summer concerts. There's the Tiki Bar where bands play. So it's a great center for music in the eastern area of West Virginia.
Yeah. Well, one thing Russell, ought to tell you, the Weber brothers, they're great, and they're coming March 18th. And
March 18th, the Weber brothers at the Troubadour.
And they come every year. When they come back, they come to the Troubadour. Got a little story there. Ryan come out to see me a couple weeks ago. They were in town, and he said, I wrote 2 songs about you. One's called Jim, and one's called Joltin' Jim. He got his guitar and brought it in, sang them to me. I said, he said, they're not ready. I'm gonna bring it. I think I know the 18th. He's putting music set on. I'm gonna put steel guitar on it for you.
So he'll be debuting those 2 songs on the 18th of March at the Troubadour with the Weber brothers.
I hope.
Okay. And if people want more information about the Troubadour, they can go on the web. You have a great website. All right, so let's just recap. March 6th, Patsy Cline Remembrance Day. And what time is that again?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. March 18th, the Weber brothers. What time is that?
That's 8:30 till.
8:30 p.m.
Till.
And we know what that's like.
It'll be late.
It'll be late. And the Weber brothers are great at the Troubadour, and it'll be indoors, so the place will be packed. All right. Jimmy, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your life's work.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching This Week in Morgan County.